Hey, Anna, welcome to the Sisterhood and happy summer.
Oh, I am so excited to be with the Sisterhood, and I'm sort of ready for summer.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
So you're in Omaha, Nebraska, and
Yes.
what is summer like there?
Hot, balmy. The Midwest really just has all the seasons and their full glory, so we kind of get it all. So, yeah.
Mhm. And you have kids?
I do. I've got Lucy, who's 7. I've got Poppy, who's 5. So,
Oh.
matter of fact, I was like, honey, I'm going to be doing a little thing on Zoom in my office. Okay. She's like, okay, can I have some breakfast? I was like, it's 2. And you already ate breakfast. Just sit right there. I'll let you know when I'm done. Okay. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah.
So cute. So great. Well, and you just had a book come out, and
Yeah.
we are excited to dive into some of that. And as we are headed into swimsuit season, we
Yeah.
thought that that would be a great place for us to start today. So tell us a little bit about some of the ins and outs for women when swimsuit season arrives.
Well, it's so funny that this topic is really good because my book is called I'm Not Ready for This. And I actually pitched it to be called I'm Not Ready to Go Sleeveless. And I thought that was so hilarious. Everybody I told was like laughing so hard, but they're like, you know what? That's a little bit, let's just trim that part off. But because it's sort of true, like every time it starts to get hot, every hot day in summer seems to like come as a surprise and be put me in a panic. I'm like, wait a minute, wait, 93. Like, I can't wear my cardigan today. I can't wear my hoodie today. And, I make this joke of like, I've had since January 1st to kind of get my arms in like summer shape. And they're usually, they look like, rising dough on, bread dough on its second rise. And I've got to go ahead and like figure out what I'm going to do now because it's 93 degrees and I'm not ready for this.
Uh-huh.
And so that's kind of the joke I have, is that I'm always shocked by summer. I'm not ready for it. I'm not tan enough for it. And I don't know what I'm going to wear. And so I dig into this a little bit in my chapter, Catherine O'Hara, and turning 40. And there's a lot of self-deprecating humor in it. But then I also come around to this phase in my life where I'm also learning to love and appreciate my body at the same time too. And so that balance of us always sort of warring against our bodies, but then also kind of coming into a season of learning to love it too.
Mm-hmm. Because the swimsuit exposes all of that, right? You can't hide in your swimming suit the fact that your body is changing, if it is, and all of our bodies are changing all the time. Sometimes we like the way they're changing, and often we don't.
Right.
But the swimsuit feels very vulnerable because you're essentially walking around in your underwear out in the world. How do you approach that as you sit by the pool? You don't really have beaches in Omaha, lakes?
No, well, lakes. Yeah, we've got big lakes. I was just at my friend's pool actually. And I get myself a little skirt and I do things that kind of feel good and flatter me at the same time. A lot of it has to do with being comfortable, wearing something that you feel comfortable and confident in. But another part of it is just like, who cares? Let's just have some fun. Who's on the grill and making hot dogs, and just this letting go and just being yourself, being comfortable, getting in the water, taking the t-shirt off, and making a commitment. I'm not going to wear an oversized black t-shirt into the pool. I'm going to just get in and just really just letting go and just letting yourself just be, because it really is true. I mean, I don't sit around when I'm at like a public pool. I don't look around and observe anybody's body, right? Like, I'm not like, interesting. oh, look at that. I'm not looking at anybody, and nobody's really looking at us either. And so just being comfortable and just enjoying yourself and just learning to let go is what I try to do.
Yeah. And I do think the more you do that, the more other people feel comfortable as well. Like if you're always uncomfortable, then, I mean, we know that just even as a speaker, right? If I get up there and I'm uncomfortable as a speaker, everyone in the audience is like, oh my gosh, what's she going to do? Help.
Yes.
They're uncomfortable, as opposed to if I just walk up and I'm totally at peace and comfortable on the stage, they relax, right? The same kind of concept, that when we just kind of lean in and we're like, okay, here I am in all my glory, then, then okay, this is what it is, and people just go, okay, that's what we're doing here, is we're just going to relax and have fun and be comfortable, as opposed to if I come in uncomfortable, well, now I just made the person next to me uncomfortable about them and their swimsuit and their body too. It's really an interesting reciprocal dynamic, I think, between us and other people.
I think that's absolutely spot on. People pick up on your vibes. I talk about, especially my first book, we'll laugh about this someday, I talk about my weight and growing up as like a chunky kid. And I have a sister who's gorgeous. She's 10 years older. And so she's always so beautiful. And even though she loved me, there was always this feeling of she's just, the standard. And I was never meeting that standard. And, a lot of people would say that they remind me of, you were such a tomboy. They always thought I was such a tomboy. And now I don't look like a tomboy. I've got, and I was like, I wasn't really a tomboy by choice. It was because I was so uncomfortable in my skin. Now, granted, clothes for heavier women too has grown leaps and bounds. I mean, before we had hardly any options, but I was wearing bigger kind of guy clothes because that's what would fit, because I wasn't comfortable wearing oversized or plus sized clothes for women. And I remember always being jealous of my girlfriends who were plus sized and owned it and looked gorgeous. And they would just show up to the bridal party in the dress looking slamming, right? And that confidence was so inspiring to me. And I think that we can do that for people. If you are a size 6 and you are insecure, people can feel that around you and get those vibes from you. And if you're a size 16 and you're confident, you elevate the whole room with your confidence too. And so that's been something I've been learning, is that what is comfortable for me? What do I feel really good in? And then just owning it and letting go and having fun. I think the letting go is that deep breath of like, okay, I'm done thinking about how I look. I'm here to just be in this space and enjoy myself, is really kind of when things change.
Yeah. And aging gives us that freedom.
Yeah.
Because I can't change some of the things that are happening, right? I mean, maybe to a certain degree I can, but for the most part, there are things that are just true about the way I look that are different than they were 10 years ago, that aren't, I'm never going to go back. I'm never going to be back to the way I looked when I was 20. It's just not going to happen. So the sooner I can embrace that, then the sooner I can walk in that confidence. And then other things that maybe I've held on to in the past that were the things that were my buffers of confidence, I can let go of too. It's almost like this gift, because we have practice at it. And the more we do it, the more, the better we are. I was thinking as you were saying, that clothes have come a long way, specifically around swimming suits. I feel like the whole mom suit phenomenon has also come a long way, but I also don't know if I just wasn't paying attention to it before. But I think there's so many more options now as far as what people wear. And you made a good point at the beginning about finding something that you feel comfortable in. And I would say, I want to give women permission to spend money on this, because sometimes moms have a hard time with the price point of a nice swimming suit.
Yeah.
And to say, if it's going to make the difference between you enjoying your summer with your kids and you not, there's a price on that is worth investing in.
Oh yeah.
And you know, I'm the frugal one in my universe. And so for me to say that, the listeners probably know that that's a big deal. So I would say make that investment in yourself and really look for some of those things that maybe cover places you didn't know, oh, if that was covered, I would feel a little bit more confident in being at the pool. I mean, there's little dress suits I've seen that are so cute. I'm a big fan of the skirt myself. I like the skirt bottoms, but even some of the tops, just the way they cut are really cute. But they almost don't look like a swimming suit, but they are. That's bonus.
I am a quality versus quantity girl 100%. I would rather have one swimsuit that I paid 100 or maybe sometimes it's 150. Those are ouchy, but you get one really good suit than maybe 6 from Target that I don't like that much and I don't feel good in. And so I'm 100% just getting that one thing that you just feel real. I love those little coverall dresses. When you get out of the pool, you can walk around in those for the rest of the time. Yeah, I love skirts. And you make such a good point about aging and how it teaches you to kind of let go because there's nothing you can do about it. So one of the things, like I joke about, is that I started to realize that in my neck, so I started to make fun of in Catherine O'Hara, and it's called Catherine O'Hara because there's this moment when I do the math on how old she is when she's Kevin McAllister's mom in Home Alone. And I calculate and realize I'm older than her. And I don't know why it blew. I was like, there's no way I'm older than Kevin McAllister's mom. There's no way. And so then I went down this rabbit hole of like, how old was Meg Ryan and You've Got Mail? I was older than her. And then Tom Hanks is 40. And he was so handsome in that movie, of course. But if you look at his neck, it was like he has, I make the joke that it was like 3 kind of hamburger buns kind of stacked on his neck. I was like, oh no, Lord, I'm the age when necks go bad. I can't, because 40 is when we kind of lose the elasticity in our neck. And I saw these cords and I looked it up, and those cords are like the first sign that this is going to start getting super soft and like little kind of turkey neckish. And there's nothing I can do about it. And I think that when there's just nothing you can do about it, and you're like, forget it. Just fine. There's nothing I can do about this. It's happening. And I think that's where the beauty of 40 comes from and beyond, because we start to realize that this is happening and we can do things to feel good and confident about ourselves, but it's happening. And so, let's kind of find some stuff. And I tell you what, when we tell people to go, one of the reasons I think women don't go get swimsuits that they feel good in is because they don't want to go through the torture of trying them on, And so it's like, I don't want to have to try on so many to even like one. And I don't want to go through it. I tell you what, sometimes it is just one of those things where it's a mindset of going in. This is a non-judgment zone. This is let's just find out what feels good and looks good, and figuring out a way to enjoy it. Treat yourself to a Starbucks, do a little something to make it kind of a treat for you, and just take care of yourself. You deserve it.
So will you talk to us a little bit more about just how you flipped your mindset? Because we keep saying that mindset, and that really is the difference. Like, the battle is happening between our ears. That's where the main battle is. And so how have you addressed that? Like, where were you before and how have you gotten to where you are now?
Well, I would say before I'm a real confident person, but I think a lot of women can relate to this. This isn't new. Could be very, very verbally abusive to my body. And when I started to turn, as I was approaching 40, I started to get this really bizarre obsession with running. And I always make the joke that I have more of like a quilter's body than an actual runner's body. And I'm so into running. I don't know why. And so I started to I was drawn to running magazines, and I'd be sitting there flipping through it. I remember really praying about it. And I was like, God, what are you trying? Am I over spiritualizing this to say you're trying to get my attention? Like, why are you pulling me towards running and exercise? And I just all of a sudden, and there's kind of this scene where I'm walking in the neighborhood and I see these kids kind of playing softball, where I realized that my body wanted my respect. And it was this aha moment of, I have not respected my body my entire life. It has been a nuisance. It's been difficult. It's been chunkier than I want it to be. It's been looser than I want it to be. It's been less fit than I want it to be. It's been this thing that has embarrassed me. And it's like, enough is enough. Have you grown out of this stupid stuff yet? I mean, look at what I do for you. I mean, the way it heals after a paper cut, our eyes, the miracle of vision, the miracle of walking, the fact that I'm able to walk my body, the fact our bodies are so beautiful and they're such a miracle. And we just treat it like garbage, like it's some stupid idiot that's a big pain in our butt. It was just this realization, I want your respect. Look at what I do for you every single day. And what kind of helped pivot that was, I had a very serious back injury many years ago. And I did physical therapy, but I didn't really do it probably to the best that I should have done. And so over time, now I have migraines. And so a physical therapist has, after doing lots of testing on me, basically what's happening is every day, my body, in order to face forward, is forcing itself to face forward and to walk forward and to function normally when my actual structure is collapsed. And he said, and so what happens when you get your migraine is that when you're on your cycle, you get loosey-goosey, and now your body cannot put you forward like it needs to, and it's causing the migraine. And I thought to myself, my body has been doing this for me this entire time. I mean, it is just forcing itself to be forward, forcing itself to walk forward. It's doing this thing without me even realizing it. My body's a miracle. And I owe it to my body to not sit here and criticize it, but maybe I should go give it a walk. Maybe I should take it easy on the Oreo mega stuff, which, ladies, have you tried the mega stuff? I don't know if you've tried that yet.
Have not.
It's almost too much, but not, it's like just right. It was, take it easy on the cookies. Take it easy. You don't need to be bingy and go for a walk. Try a little running. Let's do some stretches. And so that was the pivotal moment for me, is realizing that my body really wants my respect. And it's a spiritual practice to do so. Our bodies are a gift from God. And I'm disrespecting this gift that God gives me by the way I talk about it, the way I treat it. And so that was this, I was like, my 40s is going to be it. It's going to be when I may not have the perfect body, but I'm going to treat it well, and I'm going to love it, and I'm going to respect it.
Yeah. And you have 2 daughters.
Yes.
Who are watching you as you make those choices and have that attitude.
Yeah.
And I would say probably the number one thing we can do for our girls, and our boys too, I would guess, is to feel good about the body that God gave us and steward it to the best of our abilities, which means
100%.
Doing that exercise in front of them, making food choices in front of them, and putting on the swimming suit in front of them, and going and having a good time at the pool.
Yeah, absolutely. And just owning it and being so comfortable in your skin is such a gift. I talk about that a lot in my first book. We'll laugh about this someday, where it was really important to me that I did not give my own dysfunction with my body and with food to them. And that I didn't, in order to protect them from being chunky in their childhood like I was, that I'm not doing things and micromanaging things and creating a psychosis around food because of my own issues. And that was something that I had to be very mindful of to make sure that I wasn't doing. because at the end of the day, I wanted to protect them from suffering from the way that I suffered. But then you can start to create that suffering or create that environment just by your own anxiety. So again, I had to let it go. I have to let things go, create a healthful home with healthful habits. And these are two beautiful little women who are going to find their own way. And whatever example I set, I just try to do that to the best of my ability.
I think that's one of the hardest parts actually of parenting, is not focusing on it too much, but also not too little, right? Yes. Where you're like, anything goes, eat what you want, chips, Oreos, whatever, or don't eat that. Don't eat that. Well, are you going for a run today? Are you right? There's just, like it's the whole thing.
Right.
So do you have some like key principles even that people can use as they're trying to find that middle sweet spot?
I wish I did. Especially in my first book, I really talk about my weight issues a lot. I talk about it a lot less than the first, which is why I keep referencing the first one. But I grew up in a real healthful home. Real helpful before that was even a thing. My mom was considered a freak. She ground her own grain, or me and my sister would grind grain for bread. If we even had bread, no sugar. If we ever had sweets, it was honey, cakes and all, and candies. Those were all holidays. And I realized that when I grew up in a home like that, which had beautiful food, if I went to my friend's house and it was like a little Debbie fest over there, I would binge at her house. I mean, I was like, I'll be okay. I mean, I would binge the whole box. The mom over there was probably like, good grief. You know what I mean? She ate the whole box of cookies. And I kind of thought about that. I was like, did my mom creating this really healthful home and strictness unintentionally participate in my binging when I was away from the home? Because I was so excited to go to other people's houses. I'm like, what's the chip situation? We got some Fritos here. Like, what do we got in there? But my sister didn't have that problem. And so I think that's actually more of a temperament thing with me, that my mom really couldn't have prevented much. So I do keep that in mind, where I try to keep a balance, because I do notice that with my kids sometimes, is that if I keep the house really clean for a very long time, the minute we have ice cream, they want the whole gallon gone. Can I have another bowl? Can I, and if I have it in the house more often, then they're not as, so it's that balance of just like, well, I'm not going to keep it in the house just so you get used to it. But at the same time, when we have it, how do I create a certain structure and enjoyment and celebration of this yummy little treat that we have without it becoming something that we get a little obsessed about? It's a balancing act, and it's a testing, and it's a trying, and it's a seeing what, and I'm still learning it myself, but we're kind of getting into a groove there. So like Fridays is a good day that we'll maybe go get some ice cream. So Lucy's super excited today. So after we get her from school, we're going to maybe go get an ice cream cone, stuff like that, where it's not this forbidden thing that we have to, because then anything that's forbidden just becomes just, like a new little idol that we start to obsess over. And I try to help balance that out too.
Well, even the other day, I was having a conversation with a young mom, and she was like, I'm trying that whole thing where you don't put cakes on pedestals. You don't make the dessert look pretty. You don't, that it's just the food, like food just doesn't have a value, right? Every food is equal value. And she's like, but then we go over to the grandparents, and then the cake's on the pedestal, and it's after dinner, and it's special time. Let's have dessert, And I was like, it's so true. Like, it's just so hard. Like, she's trying, but it just is what it is. And we just have to kind of work with it. Cause I mean, it's sweet for the grandparents to want to do something special for their grandkids. Right. Yes, so you don't want to like rain on that parade either. It's just hard. Anyway.
I know. You know what though? I think food is beautiful, and God, he's into some feasts. And so it's just learning, that's the thing that I kind of teach them, because I teach them, my own kids, myself, as I say, it's so good to stop before we're full. And those learning are like, let's push that aside and wait till we're hungry again. And kind of learning those habits, as opposed to, because I think food is meant to be beautiful. Food is meant to be enjoyed and celebrated. We just eat too much of it. I know I do. A chantilly cake, I have this thing where I like to do, I call them like little drive-bys, where it's like, I go do like, instead of like getting myself one full slice, which I should do and just enjoy and be done with it. You know, that thing you do, you go into the kitchen, you get yourself like one tiny little slice that you like, and like, it doesn't count when you get that tiny little slice, kind of eat that, circle back into the kitchen. I just do one. Oop, it was kind of uneven. I'll just straighten that out. No, just sit down, get yourself a beautiful plate, a nice, pretty little slice. Enjoy that rather than playing a game with yourself. I'll do the little tiny slice game till that baby's gone.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. The 3/4 of the pie. The
yeah.
family I married into called those little slices sorority bites. Like, I'm going to give myself the illusion that I'm just having a little bit, but then I'm going to keep coming back and keep coming back.
Yeah, well, because it's not even. You're like, uh-oh, this is crooked. I got to scrape that off. Make sure that that's a straight 90-degree angle. Yeah, exactly. I know. Good job. Get a beautiful, one of the things that I like to do sometimes is I get my most beautiful little plate and just make that plate just really beautiful and just enjoy it for what it is, and then just be done.
So good. Chantilly cake. Is that like wine cake?
Chantilly cake. It's the best at Whole Foods. It is like a...
Okay, we don't have Whole Foods. That's why I don't know about this.
Oh,
sad.
You don't have Whole Foods?
Wow. It is a like white almond airy cake sponge that has a whipped cream mascarpone frosting with fresh berries in it.
It's yummy.
Oh,
and it gives the illusion like, oh, this is a light white cake.
Yeah.
But I'm eating this frosting that is on top of it, and it has berries, so it's healthy, right?
Exactly.
It is very delicious for not being chocolate. It is.
So you're a chocolate lady.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I just typically would look at a white cake and think that's not that tempting to me.
Yeah.
But then I have a bite of it and I think this, again, I don't practice great self-control. And so I think 3/4 of the cake down.
Yeah, it can be scary. It can be scary because it's like, this is too good to stop. I don't know how I'm supposed to, because this could go, I can't let this end. Yeah, I get it.
I love that we're talking about that the theme of this episode is swimsuits. We end up talking about Chantilly cake. This is just good, right here.
It all goes together.
It does.
And I think it does get to the, I'm going to enjoy cake.
Yeah.
I am going to enjoy cake. And I am going to enjoy swimming with my kids. Yeah. And I want to be healthy because I want to be around for a long time.
And I'm going to run, and I'm going to, like you were saying, right? Like, I'm going to respect my body. And I think that's right. That is also what we're saying is there's this dance that we do. And I really like coming back to what you said, like, how do I respect my body, honor my body, and give it the due that it deserves in that moment, whatever that is. So whether you're at the pool, and that means honor your body by just saying, this is just where I'm at and who I am, and hello, let's go swimming.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to honor my body right now by lifting these weights, or going out for this walk, or taking this run, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That there's just different times, and we honor our body differently in these places.
Absolutely. There is a time and a place for everything, just because there's always a birthday, there's always a holiday. You don't always have to have a piece of cake. But at the same time, if you haven't had one in a long time and your mental thing is like, I don't deserve this, you've got some kind of like negative loop that your body doesn't get to have. That's when I think you're disrespecting your body. I think if you want to have a little beautiful slice of that thing, just have it. And or there might be a time where you've already had some treats, and so you're not going to have it because you respect your body enough to not give it that insulin hit. It doesn't have to be such an emotionally heavy, burdensome thing. It can really be like, I'm going to give my body a break. It doesn't need the insulin hit right now. I had a Starbucks this morning, I don't need to give it another hit, and just think of it that way, as opposed to, you don't deserve this. You already, you already had sugar.
Or I can't.
Yes. You have an opportunity to just respect your body and make a choice for yourself and how you're feeling. And, for me, it's just always been just eating too much. I just eat too much. I just, if I could just learn to just be just so careful with that and just mindful and respectful, then a lot of the other things tend to fall into place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so good. Well, so as we're looking at this idea of kind of body freedom, kind of aging gracefully and well, what do you think are some of the benefits of being in your 40s? And what does that look like for you?
One of the things that always encouraged me is my mom always told me, she's Sicilian, and she said that she goes, I felt my most beautiful in my 40s because I started to notice aging and I was getting really worried about it. I was like, oh man, this is already going. And she was like, I was my most beautiful in my 40s. I was my most confident. And so because she felt that way, it also encourages me where I'm starting to feel my most beautiful and my most confident in my 40s too, because we are starting to really let go. We are starting to realize the things that don't matter. We are, and you hate that it took so long, but I feel like I'm really, for the first time, starting to come into my own skin. This is who I am. Take it or leave it. I don't care what you think about it. And you start to care a little bit less about what other people think. And so this really is such a beautiful time. I would say 40s, 50s, 60s and up, but your 40s is a real pinnacle moment for you. If you feel like you're approaching it or you're in it now, where you've got plenty of time to start respecting it and to start just taking care of yourself and embracing yourself for who you are and all of the beautiful little qualities that you have, and not caring what other people think. And there's so much freedom in that. And I know it's easier said than done, but I don't know, you ladies tell me, what do you think it is about that, about turning into your 40s where we start to maybe care a little bit less? Is it because we're tired? Is it because we're tired and I don't have time? I don't have the mental energy to care. Is that it? Are we just like, we've got so many other priorities in our life that, I sometimes I wonder what is the difference of why that seems to happen.
I think it has to do with seeing the function of our bodies in a new way. Yeah. I mean, by the time I was 40, I'd had all my children. Yeah. So there was the miracle that my body did that.
Yeah.
And I also was seeing my aging parents, or, the generation ahead of us, and how their bodies are starting to break down and not be able to do the things that they want to do as they move through life.
Yes.
And so to recognize that miracle that you talked about, I think there's a certain sense of appreciation as we age and we are starting to experience limits physically that we haven't had before.
Yeah.
To appreciate what we can do. And that's why when we take care of our bodies, like I feel like in my 40s, I changed my mindset about my body.
Yeah.
In that I was really focused in on, it allows me to do the things that I want to do in my life. Yeah. And so I can work out, not with the sense of I want to fit into these pants.
Yeah.
Which is what it was before, but it's more, I want to be able to squat to pick up the laundry.
Yes. Yes.
The function element of it. And I will say too, we haven't hit on our spouses and our spouses giving us feedback about aging, because that's a whole thing that women often struggle with. Yeah. And I do know that having a spouse who really has embraced the 40s version of me has been helpful. And I don't know, probably not all of our listeners feel like they have that. And so I want to recognize the gift that has been for me too, is that my husband constantly tells me that I'm beautiful to him, even though we're looking at each other and we're like, you look old and I look old. And this is really weird. And at the same time, we still love each other and honor each other's bodies in that.
Yeah. You touched on something that is so spot on. And I'm glad you actually reminded me of that, because that was a pinnacle moment for me too. I've had this healthy mom who my whole life was always never overweight, very fit, and I started to witness her have physical issues with her hips. She couldn't babysit my girls or kind of take them overnight anymore for a while because she had a blood clot. And I remember thinking, and we had a whole thing that we had to kind of go through with her with that. And I remember thinking, if my mom is having issues in her 70s, who was the pinnacle of physical fitness and health, what is going to happen to me? And she had me at 30. And so I need her more than ever right now. And I had my girls at 34 and 36. So when they're my age, when they're 40, I'm going to be even older than my mom is now. And what am I going to be like? Am I going to be able to take care of my grandkids? Well, like I can't take them overnight because I can't, squat, or move. I don't know. And that really was this, like, this is the time where I've got to start taking care of myself now. And it's not about wearing like the cutest jeans. It's because you want to make sure that you are there for your kids. They need us when they're in their 40s, big 30s, 40s. And so I want to be there and I want to be present for them. 100%. And so, and yes, about the husbands, I'm blessed too. I mean, he's been, he thinks I've gotten better with age. And so I don't have to worry about that. I can imagine that if you don't have that kind of blessing in your relationship too, that's just another added burden to kind of put onto your plate. I get that too.
Well, I was even thinking as you both were talking, I hear experts a lot talk about the first half of life and then the second half of life, and how the first half of life, you're building. And it's this sense of work hard. You're just you're building. If you're married, you're building a family. If you're a career person, you're building your career. If you're buying a house, you're building a home, a physical home. Right. There's just so much building that happens.
Yeah.
And then in your second half of life, you start to kind of let go of the expectations of the building, and you start to come to a deeper sense of gratitude. You come to more wisdom. You let go of control. You let go of outcome more, right? All of these things that kind of happen in that second half of life. And it is an interesting thing to think about, like, who do I want to be in that second half of life? When you do turn, it happens for some people in their 30s, some people a little bit older. But who do we want to be? Do I want to be the person who's constantly chasing these things that in the end don't matter much anyway?
Yeah.
Or do I want to be someone who's known for wisdom? Do I want to be someone who's known for love? Do I want to be someone who's known as a servant, a giver instead of a taker, right? Like all these things, what do I want to be known for? And how can I cultivate that? And if I'm so focused on how I look in my swimsuit, Lord help us, because that is not what I want to be known for. I don't want to be known as insecure and someone who cares so much about what they look like that they can't even see everyone else around them. Like that is so not what I want to be.
Yeah. I agree. And also too, I don't know what you guys think about this, but that balance between also respecting yourself and carrying yourself well, because some women can get really resentful about wearing makeup, or I don't have time to wear makeup. I don't have time to do my hair and to care about such frivolous things, where there's also something to taking care of yourself and respecting yourself enough to get dressed for the day. The Proverbs, 21 woman, she wasn't, she was looking good on those streets, hustling, right? And so I don't know what you think about that, but I know a lot of women too who think that, I don't have time to worry about all of those superficial things. And sometimes I don't know if they're so superficial. It kind of depends. Again, it's a balance of how we're approaching it and the reason why we're doing it, right?
Yeah,
go ahead, Alex.
Well, I think it gets to that mindset again, is if it helps you feel better about facing the world, then do it. Take the 10 minutes and do it.
And control the controllables. That's always what I say, right? Like there's a lot of things we can't control, but I can control whether I'm showered and I have a little makeup on, and even the colors that I choose to wear that look we have a whole episode on how God made you the way he did, and you get to accentuate the clothes that you pick for your body type and your coloring to make you look the best you can, because God made you that way.
Yeah.
So even that, and we can link to that in the show notes, because it's an outstanding episode with Megan Cobble. And, but just this whole idea that control the controllables.
Yep.
And then, let everything else go. So
yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Well, thanks so much for being with us today, Anna. So tell everyone the title of your book and just a little snippet about it.
Yeah, I'm not ready for this. Everybody just calm down and give me a minute. It's my latest book. It is available wherever books are sold. It's a collection of essays, kind of like a David Sedaris type of book. It is hilarious. You will cry laughing, but it's also heartwarming too. And so I'm already getting feedback about it. This is the kind of book you want for the summer. And I'm not just saying it because it's my book. You will love it. When you get it, I have a phone number in the back. Text me and let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts on my chapter on aging. It's called Catherine O'Hara, and all the other topics that I kind of hit in this book. Essentially, I'm not ready for anything ever. I don't think any of us really are. And there's an element to our lives where I think God is pushing us, and it's good to be pushed into the next season, into the next chapter. I think a lot of the times we try to resist it. We try to run back to our comfort zones. But I think that when we are pushed into something that we're not ready for, and we just step into it and we go for it, those are some of the best stories of our lives. Those are the stories that we use to bless and encourage and serve other people. And so it's one of those things, don't run from it. Worst case scenario, you've got a hilarious story to tell, and then you're laughing. So everybody's winning. It's either like a life lesson or it's hilarious. Win-win.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Anna, and happy summer. Happy swimsuit season.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.